Hello, dear friends. My name is Vlada de Sousa, and in this video, I would like to talk about the pandemic that we don't see, the pandemic that we don't talk about that much. And that's the pandemic of feeling lonely. Working with my students and with people one-to-one, I get to discover those hidden feelings and hidden thoughts and hidden emotions that we tend to hide from ourselves, and we tend to hide them, of course, from other people. And one of the most common and biggest experiences that almost every one of us going almost every day is the feeling of being separate, is the feeling of being somehow disconnected or cut off or lonely. And it doesn't matter how social your life is. It doesn't matter how many people are around you. It doesn't matter how big is your family. The feeling of loneliness is a personal sensation, is a personal feeling. And here I would like to share with you a few ways how I discover where our loneliness starts from. Where does our loneliness begin? On individual level, because it's a truly personal experience. And even if you have a great partner in life, if you have kids, if you have great work, if you have many amazing friends around you, it still doesn't guarantee that sometimes you would not feel disconnected or lonely. So the first thing that I discovered in working with people every day is loneliness starts from our domestication. And when I say domestication, I mean there are many taboos in the way we need to express ourselves in the society and with other people. In today's world, there are so many feelings, thoughts, and emotions that are considered to be socially not acceptable. We are socially now conditioned not to show our pain, not to show our vulnerability, not to show our fears, not to show our anger, not to show our loneliness. These are the most human sensations, feelings, and emotions. But in the society today, we better don't talk about that. We better don't share that. And if we start sharing with our co-workers or people that we meet, or even our friends, some deep-seated feelings and thoughts that we have that might not always be very, very positive. Sometimes we might get a feedback that maybe you just need to have a therapy. Maybe you would need to go and fix yourself because this is not okay what you're feeling. So the most human sensations, feelings, and emotions, feeling that we need deeper connection, that we are longing for something, that we are missing something, cannot be expressed on a social level. So if it is denied socially, then we start to deny it in ourselves as well. So then there is this layer of shame on top of it, that even for yourself, it is not okay to acknowledge or to admit, I feel sad, or I feel angry, or I feel lonely, or I have this and this thoughts. So we start rejecting that, and by rejecting that, we reject or separate ourselves from also ourselves. If we reject a part of ourselves that is not always happy, not always have all the answers, not always on the peak of joy and happiness, then we separate, we cut off that bad side of ourselves. We kind of alienate it. And when we do that, we start to create separation with our wholeness, with our whole human self. So this is the very first root of how this sensation of loneliness starts to happen. We still feel and we still think all the prohibited thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But then we separate ourselves from that, then we deny them. And that creates a feeling that we are just lonely. I'm hurting and I'm totally alone in this. Nobody hurt with me together. It is not socially acceptable to get together in a circle and cry, to get together in a circle and to express feelings and emotions that are not the most beautiful, not the most positive. It's not socially acceptable. But that means we feel lonely. Nobody can share with us thoughts, feelings, and emotions because they would just consider us strange, weird, or just not normal, right? So this one is very important part to understand. And the cure for that, the healing for that, is to remind yourself that you are not a robot that has a programming to always feel perfect and great and always show the best results and always be on the peak of performance and never have a bad thought and never had a bad feeling. You are not a robot, you are a human being, and there are multiple levels of your human experience, which also includes low feelings, low thoughts, and low emotions. And that's totally okay. That's totally human. So I really want to give you this permission to feel that whatever you're thinking and whatever you're feeling is actually okay. How you want to go with it in the next step, that's a separate conversation. But just to feel and acknowledge that what you're feeling is okay. And I want to tell you, you are not alone in this. I get to see people who feel the same thing and they think it's just only them. It's only them feel like that. But I have to really honestly confess, we all do that. We all feel sometimes inadequate. Sometimes we feel strange, crazy, and not normal. All of us, 100% without any exception. Number two reason why we feel lonely as never is that we don't really choose the right environment where all of ourselves can be seen, felt, and where we have the biggest permission to feel ourselves. We can feel accepted just as we are. So if you tend to choose to go to socialize in the places with a lot of people, most likely in that environment, it will be extremely challenging to go deep into any connection or in any conversation with anyone there. Because when it's a big group of people, you tend to talk with everyone just a little bit. And usually that conversation just stays on the surface. So yes, it can be fun, it can be interesting, but those type of socializing usually will not fulfill us really deeply on a soul level. So I would say, look at your environment and try to see and source people with whom you can go one-to-one and have a meaningful, deep conversation. Or maybe it's a 2 friends or 3 friends or a very small group of people where you can get to open up yourself with all that is happening inside of you to other people. And you will know that they will also open up, and then you will share all this human experience together. So the cure or the healing for loneliness, number 2, is to select very specifically people who are not judgmental, who are not criticizing themselves a lot and also criticizing everyone else a lot. People who have a little bit of capacity and openness to understand that everything is allowed and everything is happening, and they can also accept and be with you no matter what. These are, I call them, this is your gold. These people with whom you can fully open up and be yourself, this is your gold. And we need to create consciously and with intention places and situations where we can get together and open up and share. And this might be one of the most important healings that we can receive from each other. Number 3 is listening. So imagine you already accepted yourself with everything that is happening inside of you, and you're not judging yourself, you are not criticizing yourself, you are not pushing yourself, and you don't want to fix yourself on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. You are just okay with yourself as a natural, organic human being, and you don't buy into an idea that you need to be perfect. Then you're moving on to the second step, when you are, instead of big social gatherings, you choose to select important people for you with whom you feel yourself, with whom you can just be as you are. And you tend to select people who can be present for you, who can validate you, who don't judge you. So the step number 3 is listening. It's a very, very big and powerful tool that we have, but sometimes we are not aware of that, or we don't know, or we don't practice how to listen. So there are 3 very important types of listening. The first type of listening is listening to yourself. And that comes back to the step number 1. When you listen to yourself, when you truly acknowledge what is happening inside of you, you really get to connect with yourself. So instead of running away from yourself, running away from your feelings, running away from your thoughts, listen to yourself. Take time to deeply understand yourself. Listen. And if you need help, you can find a mentor, find a coach, find someone, or your grandmother, someone who can help you to hear yourself better. Step number 1, listen to yourself deeply. Then listen to another person. When another person is sharing with you something that is not superficial, that is not about daily routine, basic things, something personal, make yourself present. Make yourself conscious of that person. What is that person sharing? And make that person really feel like this is a space for him or her to open up and to share. So be open to listen to another person. And then, of course, be open to speak. Be open to share what you feel like sharing and allow that person to listen to you. Many of us, again, socially programmed, domesticated to not share because it's not socially acceptable to pour our stuff on other people. But again, I'm saying, don't pour your stuff on other people. Select few people who actually want to know what's deeply happening inside of you. And then take your time to trust, and through accepting yourself, share what you feel and allow that person to hear that and allow that person to take you without any judgment or any criticism. This is briefly what we can do to start feeling less and less lonely. And of course, the first beginning of that process is becoming more intimate with ourselves. If we are not intimate enough with ourselves, if we are not intimate enough with our feelings, with our thoughts, then it might be extremely challenging to fill in the void of loneliness. If we don't take enough time to be with ourselves on a really good quality level, not to be with ourselves watching TV, not being with ourselves and distracting ourselves with something, but really just being present for ourselves, then no matter which company you will have, how big is your family, how many children you have, how great is your wife or husband, how supportive are your colleagues, you will still feel disconnected and lonely. And the more you will be trying to get this connection and fill in this gap of loneliness with other people, places, or things or substances, the deeper the hole will be. So turn around and really get intimate with yourself. And the best way to get intimate with yourself is to validate yourself, validate your human experience, process what have happened to you for all this time, for all these years, and sometimes forgive yourself for something, sometimes accept your imperfection, sometimes discover what actually your inner being, your soul, every day is trying to tell you. Maybe there is a new way, new direction, new destiny for you that you are missing to see. So the personal intimacy with yourself and ability to listen deeply to what your inner being has to tell you is the healing from loneliness. And the moment we will not feel lonely with ourselves, that's the moment when we will start to have deep and meaningful connections with others. And again, deep, meaningful connections cannot happen with everyone. It's just not possible. You cannot have great, beautiful, vulnerable, high quality relationships and connections with everyone. It's few people always, and you need to know those people. You need to know this cohort. I appreciate your time watching this video, and I hope these insights were helpful for you, as it truly, we all share this experience together. And the more I discover the inner world of people I work with, the more I get to see the big picture and get to understand we all want one and the same thing. We want to be listened to. We want to be able to share. We don't want to have criticism. We don't want to have judgment. We just want love. We want to be loved and accepted as we are, simply as we are. Start with yourself, and I would like to wish you to find really beautiful, deep, intimate relationships with yourself, and then to create the most profound and the most healing relationships with the other humans here on Earth.